If you're planning to deploy web applications in your highly available architectures, obviously the Azure App Service is a great solution for that because it's a managed service. And we took a look at that service earlier in the course, but let's discuss a few more things that will make your app service environment more resilient and more highly available. So the first thing that Microsoft recommends that you do is use the standard or premium tiers for app service because those support something called staging slots as well as automated backups. Now, staging slots are interesting because it gives you different places within the app service plan to store different versions of your code. So you could have the current version of your code running and serving users, and then you could make a revision to that code, put it in the slot. That way it doesn't impact your production code, and then you could test it in the app service plan. And then, of course, the standard or premium tiers gives you the automated backups so you can get your data back if there's ever any kind of issue. Now, on that note of doing deployments to production and development or test environments, in the real world, that's actually a really good idea, and it's also a recommendation from Microsoft to use separate app service plans for production and test environments. And so that's really not much of a high availability consideration. It's more of a resiliency consideration. That way you don't have issues in your test environment impacting your production app service environment. But when it comes to high availability, one of the biggest things you want to remember about the app service environment is that you can scale vertically if you ever need to change from something like a standard to a premium tier, but you don't want to rely on that functionality to make your systems highly available or more performant. So it's really something you want to do sparingly. Now, going back to one of the things we looked at earlier in this course, when we are in the properties of an app service plan, notice here on the settings on the left-hand side, we're looking at the scale out options. And regardless of whether or not you choose to enable autoscale, you want to at least make sure that your instance count is set to 2. Because remember, the app service plan is essentially just powered by virtual machines under the hood that Microsoft manages for you on your behalf. And so while you might pick a standard or premium tier, by default, that's just going to be set to 1 instance. And if you don't come in here and at least set it to 2 or turn on auto scaling and configure your rules, you're going to be left with a single point of failure in that model. So remember to do that. And remember with this setup, you basically get an implicit Azure load balancer in this environment. So you don't need to worry about building a load balancer or setting up any load balancer rules or anything like that. You just come in here, increase the instance count to something higher than 1, and you're good to go. Next up, let's take a look at some considerations for Azure SQL in high availability scenarios.